Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. This was the opening line of President Roosevelt's address to Congress following the bombing of Pearl Harbor. He said these words on December 8th, 1941, just one day after the attack. I'd like to first discuss the circumstances which led to the speech, and then the ongoing impact it had. Tension had been mounting between the Axis and the Alliance since the war began in 1939. The Axis was steadily gaining territory, power, and confidence. In order to provide aid to the Alliance, President Roosevelt signed the Lend-Lease Act in March of 1941. This openly ended America's previous position of neutrality. The day Pearl Harbor was bombed, America was forced to emerge from her policy of isolationism. The bombing left Americans feeling scared, weak, and directionless. It was President Roosevelt's duty as Commander-in-Chief to prove to the world that despite the attack, the U.S. remained strong and capable of a swift response. We have just discussed the circumstances that led to the speech. Now, let's examine the impact the speech had. Roosevelt's speech had two main goals. First, to rally American morale, and second, to ask Congress to declare war. A 1941 issue of the New York Times states that in a record-breaking 33 minutes after the speech first aired, Congress approved the declaration of war with only one dissenting vote. The eyewitness account of Milton Royko explains that upon the release of this article, military recruiting stations were immediately flooded with overwhelming numbers of sign-ups. Our troops arrived in Europe by January of 1942, and the war was won just 3 years later. President Roosevelt's speech is widely considered one of the most influential speeches in history. American Rhetoric and many other humble oratory archives include it in their list of top 10 best speeches in history. I encourage any person who has not read this speech to look it up. Daniel Cohen, in his dissertation called The Future of Preserving the Past, explores the similarities between the events that occurred on September 11th, 2001, and the bombing at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. When reading this speech, the 60-year gap between the two events fades away as the ideas and circumstances of the speech become familiar reflections of our post-9/11 generation. Roosevelt's words and ideas resonate with the thoughts and feelings inherent in us all. Thank you.